Hello and welcome to an exclusive hour-long programme with me, Alex Belfield, talking to the queen of the cruise, the star of Loose Women, and a lady who's been an ambassador for a cup of tea for years. Jane McDonald, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, my lovely man?
I'm really good, and it's so nice to see you because first we spoke about 10 years ago, and there you were, 422 stone, wearing me granny's frock, no nails, no hair, no makeup, and suddenly here you are, a beaming, shining, bright light of show business. How are you?
I was just thinking that here we are again, looking exactly the same, you rough woman. No, I'm very, very well, but thank you for the build-up. I'm loving you for that.
It's nice to see you, and I'll tell you why, and I said this to you before, people just like you, and you can't buy that. There's a million good singers, there's a million people doing what you do, but you really can't make people like you, can you?
No, I don't even know what it is, really. It's... I'm very honoured to be able to sit, to go into people's front room every day because, the public are very fickle, but they've been very, very inviting, and I think it's because they put the kettle on and think Jane would like a cup of tea, and I'm one of them. I think that's always come across, and I still am. Just because I belt out a few tunes don't mean I'm any different to anybody else.
Live TV's worse than live radio in a way because we can see what's going on. If I cock up here, I can kind of cover it in many ways. When you're live, there's no covering up that either, is it?
No, and every day we come off and think, oh, flipping heck, I wish I hadn't have said that. And your phone goes non-stop. And poor Colleen, I tell you, hers goes more than anybody because it's Ray saying, I'm going to leave you now for what you just said about me. But, that is the trouble. When we do have partners, they have to take some stick because we have to talk about our personal lives all the time. But it is great fun and they're a great set of girls.
If you didn't let people into your private life, it just wouldn't work, would it?
Well, there'd be no what to talk about, really, would there? And the thing is, because it would be really boring, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm happy now I've got a boyfriend, because they all thought I was a bit strange for a while. But now, that's a good sign. But it's true, what we have to do as well is we have to put a personal slant on everything. So there can be a headline, but we can't really talk about that because then there's litigation involved and it's like, oh no, you can't slag anybody off, you can't do that. But then we have to say, but if I was going through that, so it is really personally and very in-depth into our personal lives.
All right, in the next hour, we're going to play a lot of your music, some old, some from this brand new album called Jane. How long did it take you to think of that title?
Oh, at least 20 seconds. Yeah, we went through everything. We kept looking, we kept going, look at all the, even now, One Boys, fantastic. No, it's too cheesy. And then I went, it's just about me, it's just Jane. And then we went, well, why don't we just call it Jane? And then it stuck, and that was it.
What kind of pressure is there on you to bring out another good top-selling album? Because you can always have one hit, that's easy because people will buy that. Then you've got to sell another one, which is even more difficult. And then your third one's even more difficult. Then when you're at this stage, there's a lot of pressure to do it well, isn't there?
A huge amount of pressure. And of course, a lot of people like you the first time and then it drops off, like you just said. And that happens to just about every artist. But also, I wanted to do a different album. I wanted to have a 65-piece orchestra on it. I wanted to have a big choir. I wanted to bring in the producers that I thought worked well with me. I wanted this, I wanted that, I wanted that. And, of course, the budget of a record company just said, you're having a laugh. No way. So I just thought the only way I can do this is to fund it myself. So I should be in a caravan this time next year again. But I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I got the 65-piece orchestra and the fantastic producers because to me, this is the ultimate album.
Was there ever a point where you thought, oh, well, I'll just use a backing track and stick another CD out?
Can't do it. I just can't do it. I think it's because I'm a live artist as well. I work with a big band on stage and the singers. There's always 11 of us on stage, no matter what. That's minimum. And because I love the live sound and I think you can tell the difference. You can really tell the difference when it's live musicians. And every single thing on the album is live. So I hope people enjoy it. What's the best track on the album then? Oh, blimey, I don't know. I can't tell. I like them all. I know that sounds a bit odd, but usually, you get an album, you think, oh, I like this first track, I'll skip that one. Oh, I'm not so bad, I'll skip that one as well. Oh, I quite like this one, I'll listen to it. But with this one, I actually put it on and I listened to the whole lot. And a lot of people have just said that to me, so that's nice. And I'll ask you the question again, what's the best song on the album? I've no idea. What do you think it is? I'm not going to say no, in my opinion, doesn't count. You made it. Let's have a think. Well, I do like Doctor's Orders because that has just been the campest track ever. And it's one of those happy songs. And I think it's perfectly placed. It's the first thing on the album as you put it on. And it just lifts you straight away. And you do that Barry White thing where you start growling at the end, don't you? Yeah, when you talk to us. I like do. That. Turns me on, to tell you the truth. Does it really? I shall think about that next time I'm singing it.
We're back with Jane McDonald here on your favourite local radio station. That is Doctor's Orders from Jane. We're going to go right back to the beginning. You as a child, were you shy? Were you excitable? Were you the kind of child that wanted to go out and sing for your parents? What were you like?
Oh, I was pathetic. Yeah, don't put me in front of anything. Don't even look at me because I'll throw up. I was literally that bad. I couldn't do anything. I was a reluctant performer. I didn't want to do anything, but I was very musical. So my mum and dad brought me an upright, put it in parlour, like you do. And I started learning piano when I was about 7 years old, and I got up to grade 7, which is quite good at the London College of Music. And I just used to love to get into my own little private world and play and play and play. And I used to play quite a lot. And it stood me in good stead. But don't ask me to get up or play in front of anybody at that time because I just couldn't. And then I went into the school choir. But every time we had to perform in front of the public, I was in the back throwing up. I was that bad. Stage fright was tremendously bad for me. So it took me an awful long time to get over that. But now, obviously, I'm fine. You can't shut me up now.
So why didn't you go and work in Asda on the checkouts then, instead of putting yourself through that anguish?
Because I had such a passion to sing and such a passion for music. And it was after I'd actually stopped throwing up and got on the stage. Once you got the microphone, I was fine. And it was the feeling when I came off that far outshone the feeling about going on. So you just learn to conquer your fears, and there you are.
I've heard you talk about the piano before, and the one thing I've never understood is why you don't do it more on stage. I don't think I've ever seen you really play a track, just you and your voice.
I know, it's something I've never really done. I've had a good laugh about it and pretended I can play, but I actually do play because I'm a writer, and that's how I write all my songs. But I also have the best keyboard player ever in my band, so I would still sound a bit dodgy if I sat down at the side of him, so to speak. But one day, you're not the first to mention that as well, so I might actually introduce that into the show somewhere, somehow. I probably will learn one of the tracks. Thank you very much.
Well, it could be a cheap next album, couldn't it? Just you and your piano do it in your back bedroom, flog it for $8.99. It'd be marvellous.
Nothing wrong with that, love. I might recoup on that one.
Let's move on then to your first proper gig, and when you really felt that this was for you. Was there one moment where you thought to yourself, actually, I'm not bad at this, and people seem to enjoy it?
I think that's only just come, to be quite honest, at this level anyway. Finding the right musical director, finding the right band and the right singers and the right team around you, that's when your confidence comes. And when you've got your confidence, you go out there and you have a brilliant, brilliant time. And I'm really doing that. And I've been doing that now for about 2 years. And that's because the team's right. The show that I put out now is brilliant without me in it. So when you've got that backup, you can't fail. And it really is a joy to go on and work with those musicians that I've got now.
In the clubs, there are many people who are okay. There's a lot of people who are damn right awful. And then there seems to be a few that seem to stick out above the rest. Russell Watson was a club singer, clearly just a genius at what he does. Did you ever think that there wouldn't be an opportunity like the Cruise to make you the star you are today? Because it's very easy just to carry on doing the Friday, Saturday nights at your 150 quid, isn't it?
But then again, I used to think I was a success then, because I was still doing the job that I loved. I was still being a singer, entertaining everybody and getting paid for it. You know, and my wages at that, 150 quid a night, I was doing that 3 nights a week. You know, my brother had to work down the pit for that, you know, every day. So I was very blessed, even in the old days, and very grateful for that.
And the stories from the clubs. I love talking to people like you about those things that happen. Tell us a story about something that happened to you that was amusing, or something that happened in your club career.
Oh, blimey, where do we start? It was amazing. Every single committee man who came in to pay you used to time it that you got your dress off. I'm sure they had a button or a little camera that as soon as you got your kit off, there were a knock on the door like, hello, it's all right, I've seen it all before, because there was never a lock on it. I'll tell you that. And they always used to come in at that time. My dad used to guard them doors like you've never seen before. And I remember once I was in a club, and this it was like Colin Compton, you know, and this guy says, ladies and gentlemen of the club, we have got a sign that says wet paint in the toilets. This is not an instruction. And ladies and gentlemen, Jane McDonald. And it was like, how do you follow that?
I love those stories because they're so real and they're so true. And what I know about the clubs, having done a few in my time, is that you are completely irrelevant, especially if it's a bingo night. You are literally, they might as well stick a CD on, really.
Yeah, that is so true. But there were great days and you knew your place. Don't overrun from the bingo because that's what pays your wages, love.
And how terrifying is it on a scale of 1 to 10 when they're growling at you like a Rottweiler?
Probably -4, because you're going to die. But great training. I mean, I had 15 years doing it, so it can't have been that bad because I would have just got a job doing a supermarket or something, wouldn't I? But it was great training, great. I would never, ever call the clubs because they made me who I am today.
And of course, having done that, you can't really lose now because the audience are coming to see you for who you are. That's a very different feeling because, of course, when you do the clubs, they're not coming for you at all. They probably don't know your name. They're not interested in your name and they won't remember your name.
No, that is definitely true. But, I learnt what songs the audience like me to sing. So I've always done crowd pleasers, as I call them, even on this album. It's every one of them's I would call a crowd pleaser, a big belting song that people know and they can join in with and get a bit emotional with. And that's what the clubs taught me. Every time I did something quite lively, it was like, yeah, anybody can do this one. But when you actually stood there and sold a ballad and hit that top note, that's when the club audience thought, actually, this lass is good.
Talking of which, we're going to talk about those diaphanous dresses you used to wear. I think that's the fashion term for it. And the big ballads, they don't get any bigger than This Is the Moment. Let's hear that and then we'll be back with Jane McDonald on your favourite local radio station. We're back on your favourite local radio station with Jane McDonald. One of my favourite songs of all time, really. This Is the Moment. And it is just enormous. How do you feel when you know that big note's coming, especially on the days when you're not feeling 100%? Is there any way of faking it or getting round that big belting end?
No, basically no. But I know that once I've locked in, as a singer, a lot of people think you sing from your throat. You don't. And it's just bad habits. You can be feeling a bit under the weather, but as soon as you walk on that stage, Dr. Showbiz kicks in and it's like an adrenaline thing. So you've got a rush of adrenaline around your body, which actually makes you feel better. And that's why it's so addictive. But I know that once I've got into that top C at the end, I know that I'm locked in. My MD always looks over as if to say, that's it, she's all right now. So it's just the best feeling in the world when you get that note and you lock it in and you know you're going to hold it on for a long time because that's when the audience think that's the money note.
Because that song's been with you for a long time. I noticed recently they revisited The Cruise and that was a song you were doing then. Did you always look for those numbers that allow you to shine? Well,
I think so. And a lot of people said it's showing off. So what? Yes, I do big ballads.
It's called show business, isn't it?
Yeah, show business. Show business, darling, it's my life.
You're there to show.
Yeah. And, it's great for me to be able to sing these amazing songs. And I just know that This Is the Moment means an awful lot to me because of what I've been through in the last 10 years. And it is about, my God, this is it again. I'm here, I'm still here, and this is the moment. I'm here with you all again.
When was the first moment you got your first proper gig?
Well, I'd been working, as I did the clubs for 15 years, and then I was in the cast of a cruise ship fronting it. I was the lead singer in it, which was a fantastic job. I can't say it wasn't. It was brilliant. But I thought, come on, Jen, you're 33 now, get a grip. You need to start getting in a proper grown-up job now. And I couldn't run around the stage like the rest of them, And because I was eating too much, that's probably why. But then I just said, I'm going to leave the cast and I want to come back as a headliner. And they're all like, oh, she won't leave. It's all right. We'll be all right. She'll get over it. But I didn't. I thought, no, I have to make a conscious decision. And then about 3 months later, when I'd left the ships, they rung me back and said, OK, we'll bring you back as a headliner. And that was when the BBC rang and said, we're actually going to be doing a documentary. Would you mind if we followed you for a little bit? And that's exactly what happened. But it is a nerve-wracking thing to come out of something that you knew you were good at into something that you could fail miserably at. But you know me, I always have a go.
So when they turned up with this camera then, did you think to yourself, thank God for that, this is going to make me the star that I've always dreamed of being? Or did you just think, oh, it's just a man with a camera?
I just thought it's a man with a camera. All I was bothered about was keeping my job on the ship. I was thinking, are they going to throw me off this week? How stupid was I to let that happen? Because I could have been off the ship and never have a career ever again. I didn't even think of what the consequences could have been. I mean, thankfully, and touch wood again, it went all right. But I mean, the first night I bombed. Because I was up against food. Never put yourself up against a buffet because you'll lose every time.
And the interesting thing about it is when you look at how that happened then, today in this PR world, there probably would have been a million people around you saying, don't do it, or we can make money out of it. The fact that it was just so raw, I think, is the reason it worked so well. And I've said to you before, it isn't surprising that you're the one still sat here when so many of that generation have disappeared, because you actually had a talent. Being in something isn't quite enough, is it?
No, I don't think it is. You have to have something to follow it up with, and you also have to have a tenacity, maybe that's it, and determination, and laugh. You've got to enjoy it. We're all too serious in this business. It's show business. We're out there to have a laugh and just enjoy it a bit more. I think there's so many artists out there who just are so serious about it, and no, just let it go. It's a game. It's a game. Let's just play it.
Talking of having a laugh, the cameraman went with you on one occasion to buy your drawers. I'm not talking about the things you put your drawers in. I'm talking about northern drawers. Did anything ever happen with you and him? You seem to be very close.
Do you know, it's funny. So many people have asked this question. Absolutely not. We were just good mates. And when he came out the other night and said, I didn't like Henry, I didn't want him on the show because I was in love with him myself and he fell off my seat. I thought, I never knew that in 10 years of knowing that man. I said, what are you talking about? But it was a bond. We're still great mates, me and Chris, and that's lovely. But I was so excited that we got to Grand Cayman and there was a Marks and Spencer's, and I thought, I'm going out for my drawers. So he says, can I come with you? Because it was Marks and Spencer. So I went out there and said, what do you think to these? And I thought, I think they're very nice. So I didn't realise I was showing somebody my knickers, really. Carol McGiffin does it for a living.
Yes, exactly, and in the papers.
Yeah.
Did you ever consider that people like me who didn't know you would be watching, or was it just a man with a camera? How did you view what he was filming?
Well, I'd put my sort of trust in Chris at that time, and as I said, I got to know him quite well. And I talked about my mother a lot, and I talked about Wakefield again. And he said, can I come back and see your mum? And I thought, yeah, because I want everybody to know my mum like I do. Because everybody does now know my mum. So I'm proud of everything. And when they came back to my house, oh my God, and my mother had just got the call in, but she hadn't actually washed the step. And the next door's windows were through. Did you see that as well? And the door on the window. And I was thinking, what are you doing? And not only that, when we got in, and my mother's tights and my smalls were drying on the radiator. But that's real life, isn't it? That's who we are. I'm working class northern girl.
And now you're not really, are you? Because you're a star of TV. How do you balance that? Because the thing that people love the most about Jay McDonald is because you're like us. But actually you're not like me because I'm not on the TV 5 hours a week. You keeping your feet on the ground really is the only way you're going to keep going, because if people sense any toffee nose business about you, you'll be finished, won't you?
I don't think I could do it, to be quite honest. I'm really glad in a way that all this happened to me much later on in life, because if I started getting starry, my mother would just give me a clout round the head. I still live with my mother. There's no stars in our house, I'll tell you that right now. And also, of course I've got a bigger house. Yeah, and that's because we pulled up in a limo that day and my mother was getting the call in. And I just thought, I've got to put her on gas. It's
All you
not
needed
right.
was a whippet and you'd have had the full package, wouldn't you? We'll take another piece of music by Jay McDonald and then we'll be back talking more about Jane and the new album. We're back on your favourite local radio station with Jay McDonald, a lady that everybody seems to love, and the men seem to fancy and the ladies seem to like. That's difficult, isn't it, in this business, getting both sexes to like you?
I don't know. I think I've always been a woman's act. I much prefer women's company, and I am one of the girls. I think that's probably why I fit so well in on Loose Women. I've never really gone out and gone for a man, if you know what I mean, and I'm quite uncomfortable with that. It's lovely that men like me. I'm quite happy with that. But I'm more of a woman's act, so once you've got the ladies, the men will come anyway. So that's all right, isn't it?
So we come off the cruise and you sell an album which does gangbusters, and then suddenly they offer you your own original X Factor show that people seem to forget. You were Simon Cowell before he was Simon Cowell.
I know, bless him, pinching my ideas, how dare he. But yeah, I brought out something because the BBC and ITV, I was in talks with both actually, and I said, we need to bring a show back to the network again, where we're out finding talent, because I knew that it took them all them years, we'd had no variety, nothing musical on television for 10 years, the whole 10 years that I was on. And I said, we need to get this back on television. So the BBC just said, off you go then. So I came up with Star for a Night, and I used to go and pick all the people myself. I went to every audition, and I was very hands-on with that show. And we discovered Joss Stone through that show. And I was very proud of it. But I just couldn't fit anything else in. It was either that show and nothing else, or everything else that I could do. So I had to make a decision to leave it in the end.
How easy did you find it becoming Jane the TV star? Because being a reality star is very different, because you can just act in any way and they'll follow you. There are certain disciplines to doing TV, aren't there? How easy did you find that transition?
I found it very difficult because I was reading somebody else's script. I'm very much a person who's quite Yorkshire, very, quite quirky and funny in some ways. And that's what works on Loose Women as well, because I'm not scripted. I can say, oh, hey.
You're very funny in some ways. I agree with that.
Very strange. But when I'm scripted, it's very difficult. And even when you're reading something else, you tend to talk a bit like that. So I did sort of go a little bit, welcome to Star for a Night. It's lovely to see everyone and blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't me. So it's great now that I'm on another show that just lets me go off and be my Yorkshire self.
Is that something you'd like to do again? Because you were good at it. And again, the people's person is what they like, isn't it?
I would love a Saturday night primetime show again. There's no way I would sit here and lie and say, oh no, my life is fine as it is. No, sod that. I want the primetime show again. But it has to be a really good variety. We've got all these fantastic talent shows out there now. We're making all these stars and they've got nowhere to go. What we need now is a show with an orchestra and fantastic dancers like it used to be in the old days, where we can put all these wonderful stars that we are creating. That's what we need now.
You see, you can put £300 million into your album, but TV doesn't have it anymore.
I mean, even me with this album, everybody said, you'll never be able to afford it. And I have done. I don't know how I've done it, but I just was determined that I was going to do this. And that's how you do it. You have to go in and think, no, stop thinking about how we're going to do it. Just do it.
I'll tell you how you afforded to do it. You got your mother to go back down the mine shovelling coal. That's the problem.
That's the one. She's out there selling the merch, paying a catalogue bill off, and you know that's true.
We're back on your favourite local radio station with Jay McDonald. A few things I must talk to you about is the men in your life. Why are you so open? Because you don't need to be. You could keep this private. Every time I see you on the telly, you're happy to talk about it. And of course, with the cruise, we saw everything. You are way too open for your own good, because it does hurt sometimes, doesn't it?
Well, yes, it does. But, it's funny because I've thought about this quite a lot. And even with my new relationship that's going on now, I thought, no, I want to protect this a little bit this time. And then I thought, no, because so many women of my age have seen me fall madly in love, go through it all, worship the ground he walks on, then he takes off, I'm devastated, I'm heartbroken, I have a bit of a fling with a young man, brilliant, should be on the National Health, I'll say that again. But then I've always said, don't settle for second best. I've never, ever gone into something that I've thought, I'll just do this for a time filler. I'd rather be on my own than settle for second best. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes into your life and it's like, wow, pow, again. So I just think I'm out there for all of us. There is hope, and you've just got to keep that there. It's just a wonderful thing when it does happen again. And believe me, it will.
But when it does go wrong, as it did with Henrik, it's so public for someone like you, because you give so much, and it then gives them an opportunity to talk even more about it. I remember an interview we did when you were in Romeo and Juliet at the Piccadilly in the West End. It was an awful time for you, and there you were with your big smiley face and then crying when you shut the door. It must have been very difficult for you. Have you learnt from that since?
No, because that's not who I am. I don't think I could hold back, and I wouldn't want to. And people are very interested in what I do. And also, you can't be bitter. That's what I've learned in this life, Although it did fall apart, my life did fall apart, as you know. You were there. You were one of the people that we've been friends for an awful long time, and you saw how devastated I was. But I still say, good luck, farewell, I wish you all the best. And that's the best thing you can do, because then you're letting that go for something else to come back in. You can't be bitter. You've got to let things go.
I think what did help as well was finally getting a voice on something like Loose Women, where you can basically say what the hell you like and slag him off every day.
Thank God for an ex-husband.
You just go on TV and just say what you like. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're all bitter and twisted on there, really, aren't we?
I think so.
It works.
I was lucky enough to do an hour special with the Loose Women a couple of years ago, and they are just an incredible bunch of really talented, funny people. They don't just pick anybody. They pick people with something to say, because, again, it could be very dull if you hadn't got an opinion, weren't willing to share your opinion, because a lot of people in this PR world aren't willing to say anything about anybody now, are they?
Oh, absolutely. You can't. I mean, they'll say, oh, don't say that because then that person won't like it. Oh, never say that because then you're admitting to that, you know. And I think, oh, just shut up. Just let us get on with the job, you know. And I'd get really angry with all these people who come in and say, oh, no, you can't admit to that. And I'm really glad that nobody tells me what to do. Whether it be in business or pleasure, nobody does. And now I've taken control of my life, my career has really lifted an awful lot more. And that's because I've got no one trying to control it anymore. It also is the lineup. It depends who's on the show on the day, because you can tell what it's going to be like. In the first sort of 10 minutes, you can tell whether it's going to be a rip-roarer, if we're going to lose it, we're going to start laughing. We are terribly unprofessional on there because we are. We're terrible. But also, we're really good friends. And I think that's what comes across now. We're very, very close. And we can insult each other, and we do. And we have a right go at each other. But then we go out and have a drink in the pub after. And that is the sign of a good friendship.
I think where these shows go wrong is if there is some tension there and it's taken personally, you've got to be able to say anything on a show like that or it just doesn't work. Yeah,
you've got to be a bit thick-skinned on there, you know. And if you are slightly... you know, the person who gets offended by anything, don't come on Loose Women, because you wouldn't work. And you have to be very open about everything and have an opinion about everything that's in the paper, because that doesn't work either. If you go, well, I'm not quite sure. Oh, no. You've got to say, no, I think it's absolutely disgusting or whatever, because there's always somebody out there that's going to agree with you, but there's also somebody out there who's going to completely disagree with you.
All right, we'll be back next with our remaining moments with Jane McDonald. We're going to play your favourite song ever from all of your albums, and we'll do it next here on your favourite local radio station. We're back with our remaining moments with Jane McDonald here on your favourite local radio station, and just about meeting the stars every day on Loose Women. Do you still find it a bit odd? Because you get to know people because they come on regularly, a bit like me and you in a way. We're not picking out curtains or exchanging kidneys or anything, but the truth is you get to know people, but it's still a bit odd when a big star stands in front of you and it's the person you've been watching on TV for so many years. It's odd, isn't it?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I'm still... starstruck is not the word, because, I mean, it's only 10 years ago that I was like a club act and working on a cruise ship. So every day I'm thinking, oh, we've got this person on the show. When Josh Groban came on, I thought I was going to wet myself. I really, really did. And then when he said, do you want to do a duet, I nearly kissed his feet. And we did. We had such a laugh. But what a pleasure it was to meet such a charming young man who was up for a laugh. And that's what I mean about taking it all so seriously. This guy is a billionaire. He's like one of the biggest singers in the world, and wanted to get dressed up with me. Well, that's another story. But he wanted to get dressed up as Sonny and Cher, you know, and do a bit of a... Mickey take. And I thought, now that is a star. That's a real star.
What is interesting about that show as well is the kind of guests you get. There are some that we all get offered and quite frankly couldn't care less about. And then occasionally there'll be somebody like Dame Edna who'll drop in who you think is a megastar. Literally, I know she plays it up or he plays it up. When you meet somebody like that, does that bring a different edge to the show right from the beginning?
Of course it does, because then your street cred has gone right up through the roof. And the guest list on our show now is phenomenal. We've got people like Shaka Khan coming in, like you say, Dame Edna, Josh Groban, McFly. We've got the big stars coming in and dropping in and having a cup of coffee. But it's funny watching men come on, because I always sit crossed-armed, or they cover the bits up for some reason. I don't know why they do that. I don't know if they think we're going to lunge at them any minute.
I think it's to do with Colleen Nolan.
It could be.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, it could be. Well, it could be, yeah.
And do you have those nightmare moments with these young stars who don't really have anything to say and have been told to say nothing, yet you've still got to fill 20 minutes with them? How do you deal with those moments?
Well, I did there was a very big star who came on, and he was gorgeous, I have to say, and I was a big fan of theirs in the early years. And he was like, oh, I don't want it to be all about how I look, I want it to be about the music. And I was going, get over yourself. And I thought, Jane, shut up. You know, and I thought, no, I wouldn't have listened to your music if I didn't fancy her. You know, and I thought, just get over yourself. You're gorgeous and just enjoy it. You know, and he was like, oh no, I can't stand it because but I'll tell you who he is when we're finished.
Can't wait for that. And what about those who come on and are suddenly interested in you? It's interesting. I was talking to a few people saying I was coming here today. You are cool now with people you wouldn't imagine really are even aware of you. They are.
It's amazing. It really is. I think that's probably come from the younger end now because we've got a massive student following, which is brilliant. And they all look at us as if to say, I can't believe they've just said that, especially Carol McGiffin. I mean, you just never know what's going to come out when Carol's on the show. And Linda Bellingham, oh my God, she's got a story for everything. So it is a little bit of a, it's one of those carry-on film moments. And it is quite amazing how everybody just seems to watch the show. All the soaps all watch it in the lunch hours. And it's great that so many people come on and go, oh, I love watching this show. And I think, blimey, apparently George Michael watches it, you know.
It's interesting in life how we have peaks and troughs, and I think you're certainly peaking right now, and I think it is down to the fact you're so liberated as a person. There was a lot of people telling you what to do for a while, and that's always going to happen when you come from nothing, because you think you have to take their advice. You suddenly realise, actually, they know no more than I do, and actually they're just doing it for their own ends. Now the fact that you're in control of everything, from your tours to your books to your CDs, it must give you a great feeling of, wow, I'm suddenly me and I can do exactly what I want, opposed to have to asking about 42 people in a chain.
Well, yeah, because, you know, when you work with different record companies and different managers and PR people, everybody comes in, takes a big cut of your wages to start with. I can't believe I'm admitting all this to you, but this is the industry. The artist is the one right at the bottom, and you might get a few quid if you're lucky. And then I started to look at things and I thought, why are people trying to change the person that everybody actually liked to start with? And I thought, they're killing the golden goose here. This is wrong. And I did rebel, as you know. I rebelled against all these people for quite some time and didn't enjoy it at all. And then when I went right down, when everything sort of collapsed around me, including my marriage and my management, everything just stopped. And it's amazing. A success has many fathers, but a failure is an orphan. And that is exactly it. It was like rats from a sinking ship. And that's when I thought, right, do it yourself. And I've never looked back since I've taken control. I've brought people in who know me really well. I've brought people in who get me musically. I've brought musical people in who work well with me. And since I've done that and picked the team and controlled everything, my career has gone bigger than it ever was. There's
one thing you haven't got now that you did have then that you've lost. And I think it's the thing that made you very popular in the beginning. Bingo wings. Now, wait a minute, don't laugh. How did you manage to get rid of the bingo wings so quickly? I noticed on the cruise, I mean, they were swinging like stalactites.
They were, weren't
Now look at you. You're like Pamela Anderson in the flesh.
I love you. Your eyes are going, though. Don't forget, this is 10 years on. You want to get yourself down to Specsavers.
I think so.
What are you like? I know. But no, I don't know why. It's probably... I still have got them. Don't be fooled, dear.
Sellotape, is it, or something?
I wish it was as easy as that.
What is it, the gym? How do you keep this?
I don't know what it is. I eat pot pies, you know. I do. I've got some sweeties. I've got sweeties here in front of me, a big bag of chocolates, cups of tea, biscuits. I eat, but I don't eat the quantity that I used to do before. And I'm busy. I keep myself very active, so I'm always doing something and I'm always going to the next thing. And I think that's just it, really. And I like who I am now. I don't care if I've got a couple of extra pounds on, because, you know, if I want to really, I can get them off, and that's it. Get them off.
You've got everything now. You've got the hair. You've got no bingo wings. You've got the beautiful look. You've got everything. You haven't got those frocks anymore, thank God. Hideous, weren't they?
Oh, dear, dear, dear. Somebody should have told me. But they didn't. They're rotten sods.
Absolutely. Jane McDonald, it's always a pleasure seeing you. And you know that you're my world.
Oh, bless you. Darling, you'll always be mine too.